Welcome to Smacky's Garage. Today we're going to cover the top 7 mods that you can do to your classic car that are going to make it much more enjoyable and more fun to drive. So these 7 first mods that we're going to cover, I'm making an assumption that we're not talking about a concourse car, but we're really talking about an enthusiast car. So it could be something older, 80s, 90s, even older like this to the 60s. These mods cover pretty much any older car that you could own. Let's go ahead and start looking at the top mods. When I look at my number 1 mod that I do to any classic car, it's going to be the exhaust. With these older cars, they're already a little bit louder than the newer cars. The interior insulation typically isn't as good, so you're going to hear the exhaust anyway, but I really like to hear it when I'm driving down the road. There's a lot of good manufacturers of classic car exhausts that you can put on. I like going with stainless versions, especially up here in the Northeast. On this car I have Hooker long tube headers. I have a full pipes exhaust with their Race Pro system. Little did I know that the Race Pro wasn't as loud as the Street Pro. I've actually had both, and I prefer the Race Pro to the Street Pro. One of the things you can do is you can change up the exhaust note of your car over time by changing out different components and seeing what you like the best. For the second mod, we want to update the ignition. On this vehicle, I've switched from the standard ignition, distributor and points, to this MSD electronic ignition. So I'm running an MSD distributor, an MSD coil, an MSD digital 6AL, and I'm also running the tach adapter to run the tachometer in the vehicle. With this setup, I've noticed smoothing of the idle. It probably has made it a little bit easier for myself to tune where I don't have to have everything perfect. So for myself, this is a good mod, and I felt like, seat of the pants meter, it feels like it has made a little bit of a performance improvement. So for the second top mod that I'd go with upgrading the electronic ignition. Now the next mod that we're going to talk about on these classic cars, and this really goes for any car from the 90s all the way back to the 60s and even earlier. The third and must-have mod is improving the lighting on the vehicle. You've probably noticed when driving your classic car and then driving a newer car, the lighting is not good typically going down the road at night. So one of the things that you should do as an upgrade is you should look at upgrading the amount of power or the lighting system that you have on the front. On the 69 Mustang, I used a relay kit on these lights, so it actually covers both of them. And it brings more power to the lights by letting less voltage drop across the entire system. This has made a significant improvement in the amount of lighting that I have when I drive, especially at night. It's a lot easier to see and it makes a nice performance upgrade. If you want better lighting back here, they sell LEDs for your reverse lighting so you can see better when you're backing up. But one of the must-have upgrades is going to be your lighting for your brake lights. So one of the biggest things that you see on these classic cars is these don't really light up that well, especially in the day when you're pressing on the brake. It's really hard to see. So a lot of people actually get rear-ended in these cars. You've seen the laws change over time where they put a third high brake light mount up there to make sure people don't get rear-ended. For these, one of the best things that you could do is you can upgrade your lighting back here with more output. So visibility of braking is better for people that are behind you. For the next mod, we're moving to the interior. On the old cars, speaker systems, sound systems weren't that great. It's nice to be able to cruise down the road and listen to your favorite music when you're driving. And sometimes it's best to have a self-contained system where you don't have to modify the car, which is what I have in here. I have a video covering the stereo system that I built for this car, and what you'll notice is I did a fully self-contained, and it doesn't require you to cut anywhere into the vehicle, and it just sits on the back seat. You can take it out if you want to go to shows, you can put it back in if you're going for a cruise some night. When I originally bought this car, I didn't intend on having a stereo system in it. I just wanted to hear the exhaust, drive it around, which is still fun, but it's nice to be able to put on some cruising music while you're driving and just enjoy the night. Now the next mod is going to be adjusting the timing past stock. On a lot of these cars, I believe the initial timing was set really for fuel economy and not really performance. When I look at where this timing was set, it was set at 6 degrees originally from the factory. Where I'm at right now, I'm around 18 degrees with 34 total all-in timing by a few thousand RPM. I don't remember exactly what it's at. I'd have to go back and look. But what that tells you is as you start modifying your car, there's more room for improvement. You're running better gas. So you can actually increase your timing and get more performance out of your vehicle. On cars with mechanical ignitions, mechanical adjustments, you do it by just rotating the distributor. On cars with electronic systems, you have to use a computer potentially to adjust it. If you look down below in the description, I'll make sure that I put a link to how to change the timing in your Ford engine with a distributor. We'll do how to adjust both base and the advanced system. So the next change I make on the vehicle will be the intake system. On my vehicle, it's a lower intake and a carburetor. On your vehicle, it could be a lower intake manifold and an upper intake manifold. For this, helping the car breathe better is going to help it perform better. I've upgraded mine from the cast iron intake to an aluminum intake in a Holley 750 double pumper carburetor. On the weight side, I probably saved just around 50 to 70 pounds by swapping out this intake. Plus, it's going to breathe better. So by changing these over to aluminum parts, you're going to be helping your car breathe better, and it's going to weigh less. When we're looking at carburetors, you get more adjustability when we start looking at the Holleys and the 750 double pumpers. There's a whole array of ones out there that you could pick. I went with this one because I like the Holley brand and I like the performance of it. But there's other brands out there, Edelbrock. I mean, you can look at the Quadrajets if you're looking at GMs, but a lot of different options. So the last mod that I'm going to talk about is changing the suspension. I think after you've decided what you want to do with a car and how you want it to look, you should go into changing the driving characteristics and the suspension ride height. If you're looking at making a car that's good for cornering, you're going to want one suspension. If you're looking at a car that's good for drag racing, you're going to want to run lighter springs up here that'll help transfer the weight to the back quicker while you're accelerating. When you're changing the suspension, you also get the added benefit of making it look better and making it look more to your style. For these older classic muscle cars, I don't like them that low. I like them maybe a little bit lower than this, but changing the suspension, changing the way the vehicle looks is number 7 on my list. I don't prioritize it as high as kind of some of the other safety things or performance things, but it'll definitely make a big difference in the way the vehicle looks and the way that the vehicle rides. If you're changing the suspension on the vehicle and you're lowering it or you're raising it up, you're going to have to change the alignment on it as well. I have some videos on that, which I'll link below in the comments, that if you want to see how to do an alignment on an older vehicle like this, I go through it step by step. And I also go through how I lowered this vehicle in the front. So those are the mods that I'd recommend for your vehicle. Thanks for tuning into Smacky's Garage. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe so you get the latest videos that I post every week. See you next time.